in, get your pens, get your pads, get your fountain pens, get your ink, whatever you're writing with your phones. It's going to be a good one today. We're just going to get set up everywhere. All right, we're live on Facebook now. We are where is it? We're just going to get live on TikTok. Perfect. And then we'll also get live on Instagram. Give it a second. Okay, perfect. Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. Back for another live session. It's brand new weeks, Monday. Feels like been speaking to you guys all weekend. Um, Mondays and Fridays will definitely feel different. But yeah, it's going to be good today. We're going to be talking about an issue that we get pretty much every day. I know we always say that it's because we get so many messages, so we get see loads of these things every single day. But yeah, this one's definitely an issue we see every single day, and the reason why I think this is one of the most I suppose disappointing and interesting issues that we cover that we talk about on a routine basis is because it's something that you are told is irreversible. You know, you get that diagnosis, you go to the doctors, and they tell you it's irreversible. They give you some dietary advice. They tell you it's all about preservation. They tell you it's not going to get any better. They pump you full of medications that end up burdening the kidney and cause other problems. And it's something that doesn't need to happen. It's something that I've personally seen reversed time and time again. It's something that I've seen people before they've even come to me or after they've come to me and said, you know, I had this and I reversed it. So, 1 second, just gonna kick block. Perfect. All right. So yeah, it's something we see all the time, and it's something that doesn't need to be put up with. It's something that doesn't need to be dealt with for years and months. So we're going to be talking about diabetes today, type 2 diabetes specifically. I mean, there's type 1, type 2, and type 3 now. I think there's even a type 4. We're going to be focusing on type 2 diabetes today. I've seen some questions coming in as well, asking about MS, asking about eczema. We'll try and save a bit of time on the end. I've got a hard stop in 45 minutes, but we'll try and save a bit of time on the end to go through those Q&A questions. So yeah, stick around and I will answer them if I have time. Um, but yeah, today we're going to be focusing on diabetes. So any diabetes questions that come in, I'll be trying to answer those during the session as well. But yeah, today we're gonna break down, you know, what really causes diabetes. Some of you may have heard me talk about that before. For some of you, it'll be brand new. For some of you, it'll be like, wow. But we're going to talk about the root cause of diabetes. How does the condition actually develop? And then we're also going to talk about the three biggest mistakes that I see people make when it comes to diabetes as well. And then we're going to go through and, you know, you've probably heard some things that I'm saying that, you know, contradicts other social media gurus, other experts, what even your doctor has said. So I'll try and open it up and you can ask me, challenge anything I've said. And I'm happy to be challenged and happy to debunk those theories as well. And then we're going to rank the herbs. We're going to rank the herbs. We're going to rank the foods as well that are the best for healing. We're going to reveal the foods that aren't good for healing as well. It's a chance to get interactive for you guys to join in, list your foods, and I'll rank them live. And then yeah, we'll try and do some Q&A, and then we'll also try and squeeze in a giveaway as well. I'm not sure if Jade will be joining today. She helps with the giveaways and manage all that. So we'll try and squeeze one of those in if we can. So that's what you can expect today. As I say, it's going to be a slightly shorter session. We've got a hard stop in 45 minutes. So we're going to steamroll through all the content, steamroll through all that valuable information. But just before we start, as always, a little bit of housekeeping. I suppose we did housekeeping on Friday, so there's not that much that's gone on over the weekend. Yeah, just to let you know, new listeners here know, there's new kits available on the website. We launched the Kidney Cleanse Kit, which I've been looking to get live for the last few months. So Kidney Cleanse is live on the website. That is for stage 1 and 2, stage 3 kidney disease, and then also kidney stones as well. We've launched that. We've also got the Cognitive Health Kit live on the website as well. So that covers neuropathy, so any nerve pain, any nerve issues, stress and anxiety, if you're struggling to manage that or to manage that better. And then also memory loss if you're, brain fog, dementia, all the way through that spectrum. And then Parkinson's as well. If you've got those mobility issues, then yes, we have the Parkinson's kit to restore that substantia nigra. Okay. Is there anything else on that? There will be some new kits coming hopefully this week as well. We're looking to launch the UTI kit to kind of accompany the kidney cleanse kit as well. And then we're also looking to launch the joint pain kit. So that will cover, sciatica, rheumatoid arthritis, and osteoarthritis. So those will be coming hopefully this week, along with the guides to support them. And then also, what else? I think that's pretty much it. Um, I posted a collaboration post yesterday with CCNI. So it's a group worldwide. They're all over the world, but we're focusing on tackling the autism issue. We're tackling the autism issue. We're going to be doing a deep dive on the root cause that can perfectly replicate autism symptoms. So, if you are a parent who is dealing with autism issues, or you're a parent you have an autistic child, then you can join that group, join that community. It's a 3-month program. It's structured support. I'm going to be holding your hand all the way through. We've also got behavioral specialists as well. So yeah, we'll be helping you across the board, and that's a 3-month program. So if you're interested in that, then you can look at the post before the most recent one, CCNI, and you can join that community. It starts tomorrow. Okay, let's get into it, today's session. So we're talking about diabetes. So firstly, what's the root cause of diabetes? What's the root cause of diabetes? So diabetes is not, first thing to say is diabetes is not a pancreas condition. Diabetes is not, your just your insulin resistance. That's not where it starts and where it ends. Diabetes, type 2 diabetes, is actually a liver problem. It's a liver problem. Why is that the case? Because the liver is responsible for producing glycogen. So glycogen is your get up and go energy. It's when you get up in the morning, the first thing that happens is your liver gives you glycogen, and that is your energy supply. It's the reason why you haven't eaten in the last however many hours. So it's not like you've got a whole load of blood sugar circling around your system. So it's not that insulin that's coming in to wake you up. It's actually the glycogen that comes from the liver. Then when you eat, then the insulin comes into play. But actually, insulin has a very rotated process. It has a very, stable process. So what happens is when your liver becomes fatigued, when your liver becomes sluggish, it doesn't secrete glycogen in the right way. It doesn't secrete glycogen as it's supposed to. So then your pancreas has to step in. Your pancreas steps in and says, okay, well, the cells need energy, the organs need energy, and we haven't got the glycogen to do it. So therefore, I'm going to have to secrete some insulin. So the insulin comes in, and that sucks all the sugar outside of the bloodstream and gets it into the cells. But that's not supposed to happen all the time. And when that happens all the time, the pancreas, like everyone else, gets tired. So I'm working overtime, and I shouldn't have to work overtime every single day. The pancreas gets tired, it overproduces insulin, and then you start to develop insulin resistance. That insulin resistance then means you can't absorb insulin as well as you normally would. And then the pancreas has to secrete even more insulin. And then your insulin resistance gets worse. And then the pancreas gets more fatigued. And then that cycle continues until ultimately you end up with type 2 diabetes. So when it comes to reversing that condition, if you just focus on the pancreas, if you just focus on insulin sensitivity, you're missing half of the process. You're missing the root cause of the issue. You're missing the first half of the process, because you can do whatever you want to the pancreas. You can do whatever you want to your insulin sensitivity. But the problem is that, when you go back to doing the same things that were burdening your liver, your glycogen doesn't get secreted in the right time, and your pancreas is just going to get fatigued again. Imagine, it's like saying, imagine someone's a runner, and then someone says, well, yeah, the problem is that you're fatigued. Okay. And then how are you getting fatigued? Well, from the running. So it's like, let's just ignore the running and just say, well, sleep. That sleep, that will sort the fatigue. So you wake up, you feel fine. And then what happens? You go for a 10-mile run and then you feel fatigued again. And then you go to the doctor and you say, "Oh, I feel fatigued." And they say, well, sleep. That cycle is going to keep continuing if you don't run less. You're going to continue getting fatigued ultimately. And that's the same issue we see with the diabetes. The metformin does not support the liver. The keto diet does not support the liver. So that's why these medicines, that's why these diets don't heal diabetes. They don't reverse type 2 diabetes. That's the problem. And that's what we'll be getting deeper into today. So I'll pause there before we go through the three biggest mistakes, and I'll answer a few questions that I've seen coming through. So it was Luck NDA or Luke NDA. Do you sell plans? Want to help my dad reverse? I'm assuming you're talking about diabetes. Um, we do sell a diabetes kit. We do have a diabetes kit. I'm going to talk through the kit when we talk about the herbs, but it's four different herbs. They all work in tandem to support the liver, reverse insulin resistance, also support the pancreas as well. And yeah, so we do have the herbal kit that does that. Yeah, it's available on the website. And then we do also have the diabetes full guide that goes with it. So I think it's a 4-page guide, which gives all the dietary advice, all the lifestyle advice, all the things to avoid as well to help bring the A1C numbers down. And then we also offer one-to-one consultations as well. So if you wanted that personalized plan, then you can get that as well. So all of that is available on the website, which we actually changed over the weekend as well. So hopefully that's a bit more straightforward for you as well now. But yeah, that is available on the website. Um, okay, Moses Twangiewe. Sorry if I butchered that. Help with cure of the kidney. So as I said, we have launched a kidney kit, and that is available on the website now. If you did want some more one-to-one support, again, I would most recommend the consultation because the kidneys are some of the most delicate organs in the body. Okay. I think that is all the questions. Oh no, yeah, that's all the diabetes questions. Okay, so yeah, any questions that aren't related to diabetes, I'm gonna save those for the Q&A. Um, oh, I forgot to check Facebook. Let me decided to start today for at least 3 days. Um, so Michelle, you said I'm watching from Kansas. I appreciate it. I have insulin resistance and no gallbladder. I decided to start fasting today for at least 3 days. Do you think that is the right way to go for me? So this is a really good question, and it actually brings us into mistake number one, which is probably fasting. And I'm not saying fasting is bad across the board. I'm not saying people won't see improvements from fasting. But what I am saying is fasting isn't for everyone, and fasting shouldn't just be used indiscriminately, regardless of your situation. So let's talk about what fasting actually does in terms of diabetes. So fasting stops. The reason why fasting benefits most people is because you stop eating a lot of the rubbish. So, if you were eating pasta, if you were eating a whole load of bread, a whole load of rice, a whole load of fatty foods, a whole load of sweets, a whole load of chocolate, then of course the fasting is going to help because you're eating less of the troublemakers. Um, but also, when you fast, there's things that happen metabolically. When you fast, your blood sugar levels drop. So you don't have food, you don't have sugar, your blood sugar levels drop. When your blood sugar levels drop, you release cortisol. Cortisol comes into the system, and that is because your adrenal glands are saying to themselves, well, I don't know when we're going to eat next, so we need to give you some energy so you can go out and hunt. That's the evolutionary basis of giving you that cortisol shot. So you get that shot of cortisol, and then what does cortisol do? Cortisol is kind of the inverse of insulin. Cortisol is we need all hands on deck, and we need to empty out the sugar reserves. The liver empties out all the glycogen. Sugar rushes to the brain, sugar rushes to your organs, sugar stays away from the digestive tract, and also blood stays away from your digestive tract. And essentially, it's about how can we get as much sugar into our cells as possible. That's what the fasting process stimulates when you go without blood sugar for 3 hours. That's what that cortisol does. Now, of course, if you are diabetic, that's the opposite of what you want. You want stable blood sugar. You want insulin sensitivity. You want insulin actually coming to the fore. When you're high in cortisol, you're low in insulin. It actually drops it. You want insulin to take it out of your bloodstream to get it into your cells. So fundamentally, from that perspective, the fasting is not beneficial for someone with diabetes. Now, as I say, you may see benefits because if you are coming from, the foundation of eating a whole load of rubbish, then yes, you're going to experience that benefit because the impact of the cortisol is less than the chocolates and the sweets. But if you're not eating troublemakers, if you're eating, vegetables, if you're eating fruits, if you're eating root vegetables, if you're eating high quality fats, nuts, seeds, all these types of things, and that's what your meal is, then you're not going to be benefiting from fasting. If you're someone who, are you better off eating a salad or fasting? You'd be better off eating the salad because that's healing foods. There's no replacement for healing foods. And yes, when you are diabetic, or when you fast, I should say, you go through that process of autophagy, and that is a natural healing process, but it doesn't replace healing foods. You can use and incorporate structured fasting as part of your healing methodology, but with diabetes, you don't really need to go to those extremes because all we need to do is start eating for the liver, and you'll find that start eating for the liver, stop eating all the fat, stop eating all the sugar, and the levels drop by themselves. Now, if you have diabetes due to a pancreas injury, a physical injury, a liver injury, a viral issue, then it might not be as straightforward, and then we would probably need to use antivirals, would need to use herbs that repair the actual damaged pancreas tissue itself. But outside of that, you don't need to be using fasting or any extreme methodology to help with diabetes because ultimately it's not necessary. You don't need to do it. Okay. So hopefully that answers that question. Sarah, you're in the right place. We're talking about diabetes today. We're talking about how to heal it. So you're in the right place. So Trudy had type 2 diabetes for over 20 years. Can we help? Yes, 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 yes. And if it's 20 years and you tried everything, I would recommend booking a consultation if you're still not sure after this session. And Michelle, we've answered that question about the fasting. So, okay, mistake number 2. It would be sticking with a keto diet. Sticking with a keto diet. Now, this even happened to my own mum when she was told she was pre-diabetic. What do they say? They tell you to go on a keto diet. They go to a keto diet. And why do they tell you to do that? Because if you're on keto, that means you're not on carbs, essentially. You're not eating the pastas, you're not eating the breads. Instead, you'll be eating the butters, the dairies, hopefully the vegetables, but definitely the meat. Now, what is animal protein? What is animal protein? It is essentially stored poisons, stored cortisol, stored toxins, fat, and then some nutrients in with there. Unfortunately, the benefits of those nutrients don't override all the toxins and the fat, especially when it comes to the liver, because your liver is hypersensitive. If you drink alcohol, your liver will get drunk much quicker than you do. Your liver stores all of these toxins. Nafata, is that? I don't know if I'm mixing this name with anyway. But what is a keto diet? It's a ketogenic diet. So basically, instead of like looking for glucose, you look for ketones, and ketones come from fat-based foods. So you only eat fats basically, and vegetables. So, but when you're doing that, you're eating all that animal protein, you're flooding your liver with fat. Your liver does not want fat. There's a reason you get fatty liver, and there's a reason you don't get glucose liver. That's not a thing, you know. Okay. So yes. So yeah, when we're talking about healing diabetes, it's all about understanding what the root cause of the issue is and actually eating for the organs that are relevant. And the keto diet doesn't do that. You know, when you switch to a keto diet, it's similar to the fasting effect where you so I just thrown off there. There was a comment, someone saying, I was going to ignore it, but actually it's probably worth addressing it. JBBCR8, it's illegal to claim healing of any medical condition, reporting your very dangerous stream. Okay, so I mean, we could ignore it or we could address it. So let's choose to address it. Um, you know, are you saying so for that statement to even be close to accurate or relevant or true, that would say that no one has ever healed themselves from diabetes. That would mean every single person that's ever had diabetes has gone on to have diabetes for the rest of their life. That's not true. I guess I've spoken to people directly. A1C can go down. It doesn't have this magical barrier where once you get to a 5.8, it can't go down any further. That doesn't happen. So that's not true. If you do have diabetes, please don't accept the brainwashing that you are unable to get back to normality. What they'll call it is remission, which fine if you want to use that word remission. I guess the reason they call it remission is because you can become diabetic again. You know, that's all that really is saying. It's not like you've got a new baseline that is diabetic and you're going to suffer for like some lifelong, you know, symptoms as a result of that. So yeah, we need to get that thinking out of our heads that just because a doctor has given you a condition, that means you cannot help yourself. That is what that brainwashing is, and we need to eradicate that from our psyche. But anyway, getting back to the second point, what were we talking about? We were talking about the ketogenic diet. So the reason why we shouldn't be using the ketogenic diet, or the reason why some people will benefit from going keto in the short term, is again similar to the fasting. They get off a lot of the fatty foods. You know, you go to keto, instead of your dinner being, you know, chips with, buttered bread and all that kind of stuff, your dinner might go to steak and broccoli. So that is cleaner than, yes, chips, yogurt, and all the, chips and rice and uh, sweetness and sweet chili sauce and all that kind of stuff. All that stuff that basically turns you into turns into fat because sugar, that kind of refined sugar breaks down into fat anyway. So ultimately, it's ending up at the same plot at the same point, which is why it damages the liver, which is why it will still cause diabetes. But it skips the step of raising your blood sugar. It skips the step of demanding insulin. That's the difference, which is why the ketogenic diet can help in the short run because you reduce that insulin burden. But again, phase one, what's happening to the liver? You end up with fatty liver. Fatty liver is a precursor for diabetes. So we can see how, yes, it might be a good intermediary step. Yes, you might see some short-term results, but I'm yet to see someone who has, and this is just my experience. I'm not saying no one ever has. I'm just saying I've spoken to hundreds of people, and I'm yet to see someone who's completely reversed their diabetes via the ketogenic diet. I have seen people reverse their diabetes time and time again. None of them have done it through the ketogenic diet. Is it still going?
He has type 1 diabetes, but he said you're not a doctor. So I just don't know if you're anyone
Or May May, talking about?
on TikTok.
Is it May May? That's a
No,
different person.
JBB.
Oh, is he still here?
Yeah,
All
he's
right.
got type 1.
I mean, if you look at the description, JBBC, we're talking about type 2 diabetes. That was made clear at the start. We're not talking about type 1. I think May May was actually
No, it's
explaining
type
that.
1 can go in remission, but
Yeah. So anyway, we're not talking about type 1 here today. So if that's your gripe, then okay. Right. So let's move on to mistake number three. Mistake number three would be yeah, mistake number three would be solely relying on the medication, probably. Solely relying on the medication and hoping that it's going to bring you back. Again, I've spoken to probably tens of people, I wouldn't say over 100, but tens of people who are 50 plus, who have been on metformin. They've been on, they usually have high cholesterol and diabetes at the same time. So they've been on blood pressure or high blood pressure as well. So they've been on blood pressure medication. They've been on high cholesterol medication. They've been on statins, which incidentally increases your risk of developing diabetes. They've been on metformin. And never have I ever heard anyone say, I was diabetic, I used metformin, and now I'm no longer diabetic. Again, that doesn't happen. What the metformin is good for, what it's useful for, is that, if you are, for whatever reason, it could be addicted to food, it could be a particularly resistant viral issue, it could be really bad injury. But if your diabetes continues to go up and up and up, and you're approaching dangerous levels, where you're entering into shock, you're suffering bad neuropathy, super dehydrated, all these sorts of things as a result of your diabetes, then the metformin can be helpful to bring you back into stability. It can bring you back into a stable diabetic state. That's the difference. That's where it can be useful. But in terms of trying to get yourself back to baseline, in terms of trying to get yourself back to normal, that metformin isn't going to help. That metformin isn't going to help. The herbs alone aren't going to help either. I'm not saying you can just pop some moringa seeds, drink some ashwagandha tea, not do anything else, and all of a sudden you're going to not be diabetic anymore. Unfortunately, they're not magic beans, they're not sensu beans, they're not magical. They're supplements. They support what you're doing. If you eat right, you can reverse it. You can reverse it. So we're not even talking about, I'm not on here trying to sell you the solution to tell you, yes, if you take our herbs, you can reverse diabetes and that's the only thing you can use to do it. That's the opposite of what I'm saying. I'm saying you don't even need the herbs. I'm saying you don't need the herbs. You can just eat right. Eat the right foods, because the problem is so many people are told the wrong diet, that keto diet, and it puts a hurdle on their ability to actually heal themselves. We are told we cannot heal ourselves. We are told that it's impossible. All of this mental programming is what's stopping us from healing ourselves. It's not because there's actually something going on inside our body that's stopping it from healing us. It's not herpes we're dealing with. It's not HIV we're dealing with here. It's diabetes. It's a metabolic condition, and it can be reversed. So through diet as well. And we're going to get onto ranking the herbs. So mistake number three there would be, solely looking at the medication and thinking, well, this is the only thing that can save me. I'm going to continue eating whatever I want. I'm going to continue doing whatever I want, and the medication is going to stop me from dying. It won't, and it won't bring you back. You can't just rely on herbs. You can't just rely on the medication. You need to look at it as a holistic lifestyle change. There is some nuance in that, depending what the source of your diabetes is, but in most cases, it's going to be because you let your eating go, and you were eating a bit too much sugar. No shame, no problem, because you can reverse it. Am I saying don't eat keto? Look, I'm saying if you eat keto, sure, you can get to a certain level eating keto, and it depends on the type of keto as well. One person can eat one keto diet, and another person can eat another keto diet, and they can be completely different. If I eat nuts, and you can be a vegan keto because you can eat nuts and seeds and yogurts or coconut yogurt all day long, and that would be, and then you can eat salads, because that's still part of the keto diet, and you'll be absolutely fine. That's still keto. Another person can just eat steak and butter all day, steak, butter, and milk and milkshakes all day, and they would also be eating burgers, well, bunless burgers, and they would also be keto. So they are. They are. Sorry, reading the comments sometimes throws me off. Um, Sorry, the name threw me. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. Um, so yeah, I've completely lost my point there. I know. We'll move on. We'll move on.
What
Everyone,
about keto?
keto. Yeah, so I'm not saying you can't eat the keto. It's more about what are you eating within the keto. We need to get away from these broad brush definitions. We need to get away from, just saying, am I vegetarian? Am I vegan? Am I a carnivore? What ism do you subscribe to? Because it's not about the isms, it's about the foods that you are eating. When you eat that broccoli, it doesn't care whether you are eating it under the guise of vegetarian, under the guise of keto, under the guise of, whatever vegan. It doesn't care, because the broccoli is a broccoli. That piece of steak is a piece of steak. It doesn't care what food religion you subscribe to, because it gets digested the exact same way. It gets metabolized the exact same way. It doesn't matter. So we need to get away from these isms and lock in on what are we actually eating. Being a vegan doesn't save you. Being a vegetarian doesn't save you. Being on keto doesn't save you. It's about eating the right foods. Okay. Let's do a bit of a giveaway since Jade's here now. And what we will do for today's giveaway is we will give away three 50% off codes and a free diabetes kit. So what I will say is um, the first four people to message um, the first four people to message the first four a lot of people think that diabetes can't be healed. Just to clarify, it seems to be mostly on TikTok, and it's surprising me actually because it's yeah never really seen this before. Um, we're talking about type 2 diabetes. Type 2 diabetes is 100% curable. I'm sure if you Google it, it will even say it's curable. We're not talking about type 1 diabetes here. If you read the board, that clarifies it. But yeah, so yeah, the first four people.
Literally a massive headache.
Yeah, I know. The first four people. Okay, so the first four people. I've seen it time and time again. So yeah, the first four people to comment diabetes can be healed. Will win. The first person will win the diabetes kit, and then the next three people will win a 50% off code, and that is applicable on all platforms. So that's open from now. We have a winner, and we've got a second winner, and a third and a fourth. Okay. Um, I do. Okay, we'll stop. Competition's over at least this round. I do feel bad on Facebook because I think there is a bit of a lag. I think that stream does come through later than Facebook and TikTok, so you are inherently at a disadvantage. So um, we'll add an extra discount code for the first person on Facebook because I don't want to be unfair on you guys. So with Christina Macy, you were first on Facebook, so you will get a oh, Margaret, Jade can sort you out, no problem. So did you see that on Facebook?
No, that's okay.
So Margaret commented. So yeah, Christina Macy, you will be the winner on Facebook. So you will get the 50% off code. Margaret will get you sorted out. And where were we? On TikTok, it is Jay Matthews was a winner. And then I think it was two on Instagram. It was first timer. I was going to say one timer. I caught that one. So first timer will win the full diabetes kit. Are you hearing this, Jade? I don't need to repeat. Oh, so first timer will win the full diabetes kit, and then Heleni Helen Helenisia. So I'm not sure if it's Helen and then your surname starts, or if it's Helenia Kovu. I'm pretty sure it's Helenia Kovu. You also in the 50% off code as well. So Jade will be in the
Sending, plan to come back to the email.
Jade will be replying to comments, so it'll be an email. So if you message, so Margaret, I'm not sure if you emailed last week as well, but Jade will put the email in the chats, and if you could email just letting us know you're a winner, then we can get you sorted out with the codes, and first time, pardon me, first time we'll get you sorted out with the kit. Okay, congratulations to the winners. We'll try and squeeze one more in before the end of the show, so stick around for that. Um, okay, I'm gonna try and ignore all the. Can I mute? Because it's actually
I
pretty
can.
distracting.
I will.
Oh, thanks. I've muted it. That's cool. I suppose I'll just address this for the last time because I know for everyone who doesn't want to hear it, it's probably quite annoying. So I'll address it for the last time. For everyone saying, "Oh, diabetes can't be cured. Diabetes, oh, it's a scam. He's selling kits to do this and blah blah blah." Um, I guess I'll make it very clear. I've spoken to people directly who have reversed diabetes, type 2 diabetes without our kits. They've just done it through diet. No medicine, no herbs. They just changed how they ate, the A1C came down, they reversed their diabetes, type 2 diabetes. We've also had people who have used our kits. Speaking to someone last week or a couple of weeks ago, he said, I've tried everything for about, was it 2 years? I was trying everything. I went on the herbs and I was brought my diabetes down. So when I'm saying diabetes can be reversed, type 2 diabetes can be reversed, um, it's not because it's fantasy. It's not because I think it can and I've never seen it. It's not because I think you need to use our herbs to do it. It's because I've seen it multiple times firsthand. Um, I guess there's no article, there's no YouTube video, there's no ChatGPT response that's going to change that reality. So for anyone who is confused about whether it can be reversed, I'm here to tell you it can be. I'm not talking about type 1 diabetes. I've never seen that reversed personally. So I'm not here saying you can reverse your type 1 diabetes with herbs. There are herbs you can use to support type 1 diabetes, but I'm not saying throw away your insulin and start using the herbs and change your diet. That's not what I'm saying. If you're on type 2 diabetes, then yes, you can probably throw away the metformin and you don't even need the herbs. You can just change your diet. So hopefully that addresses that, and we can move forward. Okay. So we've got about 15 minutes left. So we're going to move on to ranking of the herbs, a ranking of the foods as well. So it's a chance to get interactive. I was going to say we can do the challenge thing, but we've already had enough challenges for today. If you've got more, of course, welcome it. If it's just diabetes can't be reversed, I'll be ignoring that. But if you've actually got a question, like someone else said eating this food was supposed to be good, but you're saying it's bad, or I didn't think it's not a liver issue because of XYZ, or glycogen doesn't do this or that. If you've got that type of challenge, I'm all ears, pop it in and we can talk about it. Ignorant challenges will be ignored. Okay, so let's talk about the foods. Also, a chance to open up the session and get interactive now. So if you've got questions around, you're not sure which foods, you're not sure if the food helps or harms, then pop them in the comments and we will be ranking them out of 10 and explaining how it works in context of diabetes, because a lot of foods can be healthy, but actually are they healthy in the context of diabetes? Less so. So we will be talking about that. Okay. And also, Antonia, if you are here today, pop a comment in, because I do have something to say in response to a question you had last week, which I'd like to address. So if you are here, let me know. Otherwise, I will address it next time I see you on. Okay. What are we saying? So yeah, let's start ranking the foods. So in terms of, we'll do the worst first. Let's do the worst first. So what are the worst things you can eat for diabetes? It will be high fat, high sugar combination foods. High fat, high sugar combination foods. So that would be cakes. I mean, the problem is whenever you have a high fat food, generally it's also going to be high sugar. A cube of butter wouldn't sell very well on the shelves, so they have to put sugar into it. So, the reason why we are evolutionarily designed to enjoy fatty, sugary foods is because the fat gives that texture. The fat gives that softness. We like soft foods. We also like sweet foods. We also get addicted to the sugar. So that's why most things are soft and fatty and sugary. You think about cookies, nothing's better than that cookie that melts in your mouth. Soft cake that melts in your mouth. You want that melt in your mouth feeling, and that's what the fat provides. That's why you have so many emulsifiers in processed foods. But anything that is high fat and high sugar will be the worst thing that you can eat for diabetes and would score a 0 out of 10. So that would be cakes, cookies, biscuits, sweets, because usually it's gelatin with sugar. Even if it is what's the healthy sweets, Jade? That guy from Made in Chelsea Made, was it Towie?
Candy kittens.
Candy kittens. They're marketed as the healthy sweet because they don't have sugar or something. It's full of sweetener and it's full of artificial fattener. It's still not good for diabetes, unfortunately. Anything that is probably 0 added sugar or no added sugar or no sugar or sweeteners is also going to be a no more than a 2 out of 10 for diabetes. Just because it hasn't got glucose, it can still have maltodextrin, it can still have sucrose, it can still have what's it called? the type of fructose, high something fructose, but the name slips me. But that type of processed fructose, it can still have dextrose, it can still have maltose, it can still have lactose. All of these are still sugars. All of these are still burdening the pancreas and aren't digested very well and cause issues throughout the body. None of these things should be considered healthy alternatives. If you are looking at a sugar-free alternative, the only one I'd probably recommend next to honey, and even honey is not ideal for high fructose corn syrup. Thank you, first timer. I was thinking high corn fructose. I was like, yeah, but yeah. So yeah, the only sweetener I would actually recommend, it's not stevia. Stevia isn't the worst because it is plant-based. Honey isn't so bad. Agave isn't so bad, but monk fruit would be the best thing. Monk fruit syrup without the erythritol, would be the best option. That does not have glucose. That does not spike blood sugar. Um, Maple syrup, another good option. Yeah, I'm not anti maple syrup as well. It's not healing. It's not healing, but also we can't just say we're going to abandon all of our sweet treats because we're diabetic as well. So, there's lots of baked goods that you can enjoy with monk fruit and things like maple syrup. And, when you use figs as the base instead of flour, and you use, I mean, I'm no baker, so I'm not even going to get into it. But
What did you say about the sweet one? Monk
monk
syrup.
fruit syrup.
Monk fruit syrup.
Yeah, I mean, through this mission, we meet so many amazing people. We met a lovely. I wish I remembered her name and I could plug her, but amazing baked goods, and they're all no sugar, no fat, actually genuinely healthy. Because I see it all the time, people saying stuff is healthy. And it's not, but in that case, it actually was. But yeah, burgers, and then after the high fat, high sugar foods, it's going to be the high fat foods. So things like burgers, um, so, Mimi, huh? Mimi, so you mean you can't even do things in moderation? Look, yes, you can, of course. If you're diabetic and you eat one cookie, you're not going to keel over and die. So I'm not saying that at all. I'm not saying you have to forego all of life's luxuries. I'm just saying if you're going to plan to eat a cookie every day, you're probably not going to reverse your diabetes. If you plan to eat whole load of high sugar foods, you're probably not going to reverse your diabetes. It's about looking at things in totality. What is the sum total of what you ate today and how does that reflect? So that's why we're going through all the foods, and then you can say, well, how much of what I'm eating actually is comprised of healing foods and how much is comprised of foods that are going to hurt me. So burgers would be the next thing. Things like red meat, things like pork, super high fat. If you want to get your fat in, then nuts would be better. Nuts would probably score a 7 out of 10. Brazil nuts are very good. Walnuts are very good. They bring down your cholesterol. They help unburden your liver, you know? Okay, glad, yeah. So, if you want fats, avocado is a good fat. I'm not saying don't overdo it with the avocado because it is still fat, but it has the minerals in there to buffer it. So no more than one avocado a day, but it's still a better source of fat. Instead of having that egg on toast, which is high in fat, avocado spread on toast would be a better option. Okay. After the high fat foods, then you've probably got the inflammatory foods that burden the liver. So you're looking at things like corn. These are more the insidious ones. So you're looking at things like corn. You're looking at things like gluten. You're looking at things like soy. All of these highly inflammatory foods which burden the liver. Obviously, heavy metals and things like that. So smoking, that kind of thing. If you're wrapping your food in foil, all of that kind of stuff, it's not directly going to worsen your diabetes, but it is going to burden the liver, and we want the liver unburdened. Okay,
Positive foods?
let's talk about some positive foods. Yeah.
So I've got some people sent in.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Let's rank them. So I'm
mm,
speeding up a little bit because I need to jump off in 5 minutes. That's why. Whilst Jade's getting that, I'll start running through some. So the best thing that you can probably eat for your diabetes would be well, actually, let's start. Yeah, we'll go through some foods and then we'll try and sneak in some herbs as well. So your fibrous foods, your fibrous seeds, sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, the
what
chia seeds.
fruit? Yeah,
Yeah,
fruit.
these are great options because they add fiber, so they buffer the sugar on the way in, and they have the minerals as well to support your liver. Someone's asked about fruit. All fruit is generally good for people with diabetes. Now, if you're juicing a whole load of fruits and drinking it within 2 minutes, then yes, you are going to spike your blood sugar, and that is not what I would recommend. But if you're eating fruit the natural way, i.e., eating an apple, then you eat a banana, then you nibble on some blueberries, then you eat a pear, you'll be absolutely fine because your blood sugar doesn't spike quick enough. When we look at this probably is one of the biggest mistakes. When we look at the glycemic index of a food, we also need to look at the glycemic load. So the glycemic index for something like watermelon will be really high, but the glycemic load will be low. Sharon, anything in the nut family would generally score a 6, but then Brazil nuts and walnuts get a special mention, would probably be a 7.5. I'm not a nut expert, but pistachios would probably fall in around that 6 mark. Milk thistle seeds would be absolutely fantastic. They help unburden the liver. That would probably score an 8 out of 10. Broccoli sprouts, one of the best things you can eat, 8.5 out of 10. I mention this one every single week, but broccoli sprouts are fantastic. Brussels sprouts are great as well. Broccoli is also great. But all of those cruciferous vegetables would be in the 7s, with broccoli sprouts scoring an 8. And then you've got specific foods that lower your insulin or increase your insulin sensitivity. So those would be things like flax seeds, really good for that. And it's the fiber really that does that. Moringa seeds also do the same thing. Ashwagandha also does the same thing. Ashwagandha is really good because it helps. Got some ashwagandha here in front of me. The ashwagandha is really good because it helps in terms of it lowers stress. So as we mentioned, the impact of cortisol already in terms of spiking that glucose to empty the reserves. So it lowers the cortisol. It also brings your insulin sensitivity down, and it also improves your mitochondrial function as well to help cleanse that liver. So the ashwagandha is one of the best tools you can use. The black seed oil is one of the best tools you can use. You can see how much we've used our black seed oil. It's been through the trenches with us when traveling with us, and it's still here to tell the stories. So the black seed oil is a fantastic option. Because again, it helps to lower it helps to increase insulin sensitivity, and it helps to cleanse the liver. Super important. So black seed oil is a great option. Moringa seeds I mentioned, the milk thistle seeds I mentioned. Jade's looking at me. Yeah, go on. We've got a couple of minutes.
Whole grain bread with mozzarella cheese.
So bread, I didn't mention this one. Bread probably scores a 3. We mentioned the high fat. We didn't just mention high sugar. So bread, pasta, these refined sugars, these refined carbohydrates, these will be a 3 out of 10. If it's whole grain, it improves to a 4 out of 10 because you're adding a bit more fiber to buffer that sugar on the way in. But ultimately, you're still dumping glucose into your body. Maybe it's a 4. Maybe it's a 4 because it's not as bad. And just to clarify, on my scale, 5 is average, no effect either way. 3 is you probably shouldn't eat it. 8 is you probably should eat it. And 10 is you have to eat this. 0 is definitely don't eat it. So the pork would score a 0. White bread would score a 2. Brown bread would score a 4. Baked bread from a bakery, that's spelt bread, or not even spelt. Sorghum bread would probably score a 5. It's not harming you. So a lot of those healthy baked goods would score a 5 with the date sugar and the monk fruit syrup and the sorghum bread. They would score a 5. Um, Quinoa scores an 8. Love quinoa. So it's actually a fruit, quinoa. It's not actually a grain. Fantastic. Great option.
There's a gentleman who is on TikTok, Marv's Talk. He spoke about how he reversed his type 2 diabetes. The doctors were surprised, and then the doctors tried to kill him by giving him orange juice when he was on the ward.
Nah.
Yeah, but he said quinoa he ate. He also made his own guacamole.
Here you go.
He said that he didn't cut out all carbs, but he just ate in moderation.
This is what I'm talking about, guys. So that Marv, did you say?
Marv's Talk.
Marv's Talk, thank you. Because I'm not saying you need to do anything radical to reverse diabetes. I'm just saying you just need to incorporate some of the right things. I mean, you mentioned those foods there. Quinoa, 8 out of 10. Avocado, 8 out of 10. You do enough right things. Sweet potato, 9 out of 10. Good plant glucose that your liver loves, 9 out of 10. So you eat enough of the right foods, and it can offset a lot of the stuff that you're doing that's not great. Because, Marv, like you say, when you're on the ward, it's actually shocking what you actually receive in hospitals. But you get that orange juice, and the reason why orange juice is bad is because there's no oranges in orange juice. It's water and sugar and high fructose corn syrup. That's what orange juice is. Now, if you were to eat oranges, that would be absolutely fine. If you were to eat oranges, it has the fiber. If you were to eat tangerines, that's absolutely fine because imagine that big glass of fresh orange juice was fresh orange juice. There would be 3 to 4 oranges in there. So imagine gulping down 3 to 4 oranges. That's not what happens when you peel an orange. It even takes a few minutes just to peel the orange. Then you have to eat it one by one. It would take you a good 15, 20 minutes to eat, and that's even quick, to eat 4 full oranges. That's not the same as glugging it down in a juice. That's not the same. But guys, I know sourdough is a 4 out of 10. It's better than the other doughs because it's lower in gluten, but it's still going to break down into glucose. It's still going to burden the liver. So I don't recommend it. Xylitol, I don't recommend it. Any synthetic glucose, I don't recommend it. Erythritol, xylitol, all the OSIs, I don't recommend it. Seeded fruit is better as well. Guys, I need to jump. I've got a call I need to run onto. And then I know we've cut this one a little bit sharp. The diabetes kit, and someone asked about which brand of black seed oil. We do have our own black seed oil. This is our brand. We do take our own herbs. It's on TikTok as well. It's also on the website. You can get those on the website. You can also book consultations as well. If you are someone who's been struggling with diabetes for a while, then yes, book a consultation. That is the best thing you can do rather than going in circles. I can just tell you exactly what you need to cut out and what you need to include, and we can bring down those A1C
Someone
numbers.
says sweet potato is your favourite.
Yeah, so that 9 out of 10. So, guys, I appreciate you. We'll be back on Friday, I think, Thursday or Friday. For anyone who is interested in joining the autism cohort, that does start tomorrow. So you can send a DM or send a message. Better to send a message on the website. That would be the best way. And then we can point you to the direction of getting set up. It's actually only £50 or £35, I forget, to join the cohort. That gives you 3 months access to myself. It gives you 3 months access to a speech and behavioral therapist as well. And then if you want to get the ADHD kit and autism kit, if you want that one-to-one support throughout, then you can do that separately. But I would strongly recommend anyone dealing with autism to join that. If you have any questions, please do let us know. The cutoff is today, so I would encourage you. But yes, thank you everyone, and we'll speak on Friday.